Welcome to Soki Sports Talk, covering all youth, middle school, and high school sports, local scores, interviews, and special guests for all aspects of youth sports reaching Warren County and surrounding areas. Welcome back, Southern Kentucky sports fans. This is Soki Sports Talk. We will discuss anything from scores and highlights and deep dive into the issues within youth sports. We are no nonsense and hold no punches podcast. We are coming to you live from the basement, and it is packed. My name is Nathan Perkins, and I will be your host and guide through this crazy thing we are doing. I'm glad you've decided to join us this afternoon is what we're doing it today.
My name is Drake Perkins, and I will be the co-host this afternoon.
So today, we will be discussing coaching youth sports the right way. Now, we'll premise that with being that we are not professional coaches. We are not high school professional coaches. We have been coaching for myself for over 20 years, and we've seen, done, and learned a lot, so we're going to put that out there and kind of things that we have seen or done. So,
of course, we're always looking for sponsors. I mean, if you know anybody that'd be interested in potentially sponsoring us, you got us an email on the website or YouTube. The email is on
we
YouTube.
have YouTube.
So email us, and we'll try to add those sponsors in.
All right, today's first topic is going to be the do's of coaching the right way. So, not to be a Debbie Downer, let's start off with some good things coaches should do today. You know, there are things that coaches can do. We're not going to hit on all of them. We're not going to discuss all of them, but there are things that coaches do that are good, that are beneficial, that outweigh the bad.
Absolutely.
So the three things that we'll discuss today are...
We'll discuss encouragement, real feedback, and a focus on fundamentals.
Yeah, that's three good topics.
That is three great topics.
They picked three good topics for that. So let's start with real feedback. What do you think that means to you? I mean, we say real feedback, but what if you want to do the right way of coaching? What does that look like to you?
Honest feedback is what I'm. So, of course, positivity is always good, but I mean, you gotta be real with these kids.
I think we all do that.
I think that's yeah.
I think one of the things that we do is we make sure that everybody feels good.
Yeah.
And in sports, we shouldn't do that.
No, there's no way to improve that.
No, there's not. My thought process on real feedback is, and you may agree or disagree, is that when a situation comes up, you're stern about what you want to be told or want to be heard, but you're also you educate. Now, I've seen coaches just absolutely scream their heads off and throw shit and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately, that's not real feedback. That's not real. That's show.
Yeah. I'm trying. There's a way I want to say it, but I don't think we should say it that way.
No.
I think it's the best way. Showing out.
Show it out.
There you go.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too, and you see that a lot in youth sports nowadays. A lot of coaches want to be seen, not heard. A lot of them want to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
But I think when you come to real feedback, then the good way to do that, from what I've learned over the years, is that you do it in an environment where they're not intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
So we give them real feedback, and with just the coaches around, you don't want to disengage them by talking to them in front of the peers.
Correct.
That's to me is not a really good situation to give feedback properly to a youth player.
Nope.
You want to make sure that it's something they understand to their level. Just a little FYI, down here in the basement, we are currently watching Louisville play Miami on the TV. So if we kind of get a little distracted, we apologize. But it is the sports theme, and we are having sports in the basement, so that's what we're going to do. Back to real feedback. I think that when I mean real feedback, also I mean that if a kid's not performing at the location, position, whatever you have them in. You have to tell them the ways to improve, and you
Yep.
give them chances. You don't keep continuing and going and going and going. Once you determine that they're not going to be there, then you have to really give the feedback that this is something that's not your skill set or in your wheelhouse, so we're going to move you.
Yep.
And make sure they understand that. But
Yep.
you have to communicate that in a way that a youth individual understands it.
Yeah.
Now, that what I the way I explain it, it's probably a little bit too much for a 9th or 10th grade.
Yeah.
So you would have to use it a different way. But I think real feedback is something we don't do to these kids. I think we make up stuff so we don't hurt their feelings. Well, we really need you over here.
Yeah.
Well, okay, no, you're going over here, or you're doing this change because you're weak in these areas, but you're stronger in these. That to me is real feedback. Even as they get into high school, I think we dance around that a little bit.
I think the best way we did it when we coached that travel team is the end of the year evaluations for each kid.
Yes.
Where we as coaches figured out what you can improve on as a kid and what their strengths were, but you also had them self-evaluate themselves. And we had that kind of discussion, kind of one-on-one, but it was parents, player, and then coaches. I think that was the best way we've done it.
Yeah, but you won't see that very often. That's very hard to do, very difficult to do, time consuming to do. Most
Yep.
coaches don't want to take that time. And in youth sports, you're not going to get that opportunity.
No.
Like if you're coaching a rec level team, you're not going to have that. You're going to have very limited feedback opportunities. So
Yeah.
you really have to take that opportunity, those small windows, and be effective,
Yep.
but don't be detrimental.
Yep, absolutely.
You can't. Sometimes you have to hurt a kid's feelings, but you're not meaning to. But you have to make them strong.
Yep.
You can't just dance around the negativity of what they're doing without trying to do it effectively. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely.
Any more on the real feedback?
I don't think so. You want to move on to encouragement?
That one I don't see as much today.
No.
Encouragement. So to be a good coach, you need to be a positive encourager, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think you do have some. I think the ones that are successful are encouragers. I think that you have to encourage other aspects of their, of what a youth player is doing, whether it be check on them how they're doing at school, ask them when they come to practice, how'd you do a class today, how'd it go today, staying positive and being a different role model. The ones that make a difference are truly involved with their youth players.
Yeah, absolutely. There's the saying: a good coach can change a game, but a great coach can change a life. I think that is a big thing when it comes to encouragement. If you can
Yes.
change them outside of the sport or help them outside of the sport, whether it's just inside that sport.
Yes, and that is absolutely true. And a lot of youth sports is, a lot of youth sports can be how how you set an individual up for success, or how you help them go through the next part of their life.
Yeah.
I mean, sports all the way around. I mean, baseball is the only sport where 70% of the time you fail.
Yeah,
So you truly learn about failure. Football is probably one of the biggest sports you learn about teamwork, in my opinion. I mean, there's teamwork in every sport, but football particularly, because there's so many people on the field, so many people in and out in different locations,
Yep.
positions, that you really, in order to win a game, you have to rely on your team.
Yep.
It's not a one-person deal.
It is not.
So, I mean, being an encourager as a coach is staying active and encouraging all aspects of things, because sports only set them up to be successful. And if we're not encouraging these kids to, hey, even if it's not positive encouragement, hey, you're up to 9 or 10 and you see a kid's really struggling in this sport, but they're really good in another sport, and you might encourage them to be more active in that other sport.
Yep.
Stay active in the sport that you're talking with or
Yep.
discussing, but encouraging them to be more active in something that'll make them successful.
Yep, absolutely.
Because I think also we do a lot of setting up kids for failure, because we won't be honest. We won't give them the real feedback. We won't encourage them to do other things.
Yep.
Like we encourage you to run.
Yeah.
You were good at it.
Yeah.
Other sports you weren't so
No,
great.
No, it's not.
So I mean, we as your dad, but also as a coach, we encourage that because that was where you could excel.
Yep.
You weren't going to excel like your brother at baseball.
No.
You weren't going to excel at other things, but you excelled in running.
Yep.
So, not all of us can be basketball players. Not all of us can be football players.
Not all of us can be baseball players.
Right. So, you have to find that niche as a coach and encourage that youth player to stick with that and hang in there with that.
Yep.
So that and then our final topic of coaching the right way dudes is
Focusing on fundamentals.
oh, that's a bad one right now. So
What are fundamentals, right?
How many times have you watched these games and just go, the kid can't even properly throw a baseball or can't properly shoot or doesn't have. A lot of the times you'll hear them say, "Oh, that kid's got baseball IQ. That kid's got basketball IQ." But the reasoning they do, opinion, is they've been taught strong and instilled the fundamentals over time. Let's see how this game shook out. Kentucky played South Carolina. There was a little bit of worried one on there. Sorry, we got a little
off topic here.
Yeah, but so I think that's part of one of the things that over time has become lost.
Yeah, that's a good word to put it. Lost. Yeah.
I mean, I see it lately because we've been watching a lot of Kentucky didn't win big, so there's happiness in Lexington.
Lexington. Yeah, what's that,
Yeah.
Lexington?
So
Kentucky.
yes, so I mean, I've seen it a lot lately in watching the local basketball teams. I mean, in basketball, there's a lot of natural talent.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it can be developed in other sports. Basketball, to me, is pure natural talent.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't teach jumps or height. You can't teach speed. You can make it better.
You try.
Ball handling, you can
work on it.
You can work on it, but either you can handle it or you can't.
Yeah.
Footwork, you can work on it, but some of those athletes that are basketball players, I respect because they are born
Yeah.
to play that sport,
Yep.
and you can just see the way they're fluid with it.
Yep.
Some kids unfortunately are not, and they think they are, and that's because they never focus on the fundamentals.
Yep.
I mean, how many times have you seen when we were coaching that we probably spent way too much time, according to some parents, on how just fundamentally picking up ground balls,
Yeah.
proper throwing techniques.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you can't do the easy stuff, you ain't gonna win. That's the way I look at it.
that is true. If you're not consistent with the easy stuff, you'll never be consistent with a lot harder.
Yeah.
That's the way I view
Yeah,
it.
that's probably a better way to put it.
When we were teaching it, it was more about if you can consistently point, tuck, and throw, and that was always what we taught: point, tuck, throw, point, tuck, throw, point, tuck, throw, and that's just the proper throwing technique. But if you can't do that, then we would explain to them why we don't do that. I think nowadays as much as we should.
No.
And again, you can see it between some of these teams that we've been watching on high school. I think that some of these kids have got talent, and you got to have, just because you've got talent, if you don't know the fundamentals, it stands out really bad.
Yep.
It stands out really bad on a kid that doesn't have the talent and not the fundamentals.
Yep.
So, throwing what you might, you fall in there,
Yeah, it's tipping over a little bit. Like,
you're tight.
that's fine. That's fine.
Just have to pick it up.
Anyway.
Technical difficulties here in the basement. Again, if you want to be a good coach, to me, one of the things you need to do is focus on fundamentals.
Yeah.
You've got to focus on fundamentals. And you got to teach it the right way. YouTube it. If you're not an expert, YouTube it. There's plenty of professional coaches out there that make these great little YouTube videos, and they discuss it and they go through it. We stole with pride. I mean, we did a lot of different.
Borrowed with pride,
We'll say borrow with pride.
Because we adjusted a couple of things.
Yeah, we changed them based on our needs and whatever, but we used a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
With working at the Hot Rods, we saw a lot of stuff they did on the field that we used and did warm ups. If it's stuff that these guys still do in the professional levels, then why do we not push that into youth?
Just because it's it's what these parents. Oh, that's little kid stuff. They shouldn't have to worry about that because they should learn. I guess it's the way I perceive it. That maybe.
Could be. I think you're right. I think that a lot of that um, is, well, why are we doing this all the time? We need to be worried about this part of the game.
Yeah.
That part of the game don't mean shit if you can't do the fundamentals. It
No.
really don't. I mean,
No.
and if you can't do the fundamentals, there's two problems. One, you're never going to get it,
Yep.
and you're just not capable of doing it. Or two, you're not caring and don't give a shit and that half-ass do it.
Yep.
That's the only options you got when it comes to doing fundamental work. So I mean, I that's my opinion, and that's kind of how I feel. So I mean, as far as the do's and don'ts, encourage these kids, give them real feedback
Yep.
nowadays, and then as a coach, you need to make sure you teach the fundamentals. Again, that's only my opinion, and that's just what we're,
That's what we're gonna stick with.
that's what we're gonna stick with.
Well, I guess since we did the positive, I guess we better go switch over to the negatives.
Always got to do that somewhere. don't
So I guess what do you think are some things that coaches should not do?
we? Do the wrong way.
I guess the wrong way. Yeah. Okay.
So I think our topics here they wrote out for us. I say they, probably us. They don't allow disrespect.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Don't give in to the right now.
Okay.
And then don't let parents dictate your decisions.
Those are three big tough topics there.
Yep. I think that either thunder or the dogs jumped off of something.
Yeah.
It sounded like the house.
Oh. I don't think we got a storm coming in.
I don't know. I'll check the camera. So let's start with don't allow disrespect.
Mm.
So what's that mean? What do you think that means?
I mean, obviously the big one is the coach gives you feedback, or a player just. That's a tough one. Don't allow disrespect.
That's not hard for me.
If let's say you've done this, you've been in the coaching industry, or you've been coaching a little bit longer than me.
So what that means to me, it is cloud. What that means to me is, if you, and again we'll use basketball because I saw it the other night a couple times with a couple
Okay.
different kids. You don't like the umpire's officials call.
Mm.
It is very disrespectful to do that. What?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't allow that. If
Yeah.
you allow that type of, as a coach, that is I don't want to use this word lightly. It's a cancer, so it spreads. It's
Yeah.
very detrimental to your team.
Mhm.
If you see that one kid allows it, then it becomes acceptable. And if you allow one kid to go talk to a coach one way, then it becomes it's hard just to stop that if you allow that. And I'm gonna, I'll confess, we did that sometimes. I did that occasionally.
Yeah. I think we all did.
Not intentional.
Not intentional, but yeah, I think we all did.
I mean, you would let, and it's hard, but you see it at a higher level. They don't.
No.
You've seen college kids that have went out and got in the coach's face or made something and sit down.
Yep.
You're done.
You're
Sit.
done. Yep.
You're done. And excuse me, I've done it before. But it is difficult when the pressure as a coach to win is so high more now than it's ever been.
Absolutely.
It's mimicked from professional down to high school or college, down to high school, down to youth. It's even in the youth sports that the pressure as a youth coach to win is ridiculous.
Yep.
Well, it's the me era we've talked about before. I think me. If I don't win here, I'm going to go somewhere that is win.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Go be a small fish in a big pond. Ain't nobody care.
Absolutely.
Or you can stay where you're at, be the big fish in the small pond, and
Excel.
you may not win as much, but you will sell. Now, there's a double-edged sword of that, and we'll talk about that in some other shows when it comes to, progressing and becoming better. But for today, I said what I mean by just don't allow disrespect. I think too many coaches are allow themselves to be walked.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it there. Yep.
Again, if a kid strikes out and he's throwing shit and slamming his bat, that's called disrespect.
Yeah.
Not just for the officials or the coach, but just to the game. Period. it just shouldn't be happening. But I think we as coaches at some point we block it out because it's our best player. We can't punish our best player.
Nope.
Yeah, you have to because it again it festers. If you don't punish him, then everybody that sees him as the leader and the best player feels the need and allowed to do that. So then it becomes even more. Then the coach has a whole bigger problem than he can handle himself. So because these coaches nowadays just have got to ensure that we don't allow disrespectful type things to be done within our programs or all this. That's my opinion.
Yep. I agree with you.
I think, and again, these are just items that we've decided that we would discuss just a little bit. I'm not going to spend the whole hour on all this stuff today, but I think that this allowing these kids to be disrespectful to multiple facets of youth sports and it starts young.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it starts young.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, all you got to do is go watch youth football here in Warren County. It's terrible. I mean, we're festering disrespect.
Yeah.
Knock his head off, make him bleed.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, let me back up. You know what I'm talking about? Division II, like Pee Wee, like 7, 8. That's what's coming from the fans. That's what coaches are teaching. Now, talk about the other side of it. I understand that football is a violent sport.
Yeah.
There is no doubt it's a violent sport. That's another one where we're not teaching fundamentals. We're not teaching to pick up our head and we tackle or not go head down. We see that a lot out at the Parks Department in football. But again, if you're allowing that as a coach, allowing your parents to do that, then you're still festering. You're still allowing disrespect as a coach, and to me, that's disrespectful to you. Lay your ground rules down. We did. We laid them down, and we thought we had pretty good luck. Don't be stupid. Don't act a fool.
No.
Definitely don't get thrown out of a game.
No.
And, all that kind of stuff. Again, we didn't win a whole lot when we were doing the things we did, but, I felt like a lot of the kids that we engaged with or talked with or taught, that turned out to be pretty respectful type of young men. So, but that's a hard one as a coach.
Yeah.
Because it will put your team in a bind.
Yep.
And it potentially will hurt the outcome of a game. But you can't allow it because if we allow it at the younger ages, if we allow these kids like in football to spit, kick, stomp, and all that at a younger age, then by the time they're 10 years old or 10th grade, then that becomes a broken hand or a broken ankle or, those kids are monsters by then.
Yeah.
But it's been accepted. Well, Coach said it's been good. Coach never said nothing about it.
Yep.
It's not right.
Nope.
It is part of the game. All that stuff is part of the game. I don't need the emails and the phone calls or whatever. I understand that's part of the ball games. That's how it works. But as a coach, you should be trying to disencourage that type of activity.
Yeah.
You should disrespect it.
Yeah.
So what was the next? Don't give in to the right now.
You're right.
See, I put that one on there. I was going to see if you actually understood what I meant there.
I'll be honest, I do not. I don't.
No clues whatsoever.
No.
Well, we'll use basketball.
There you go. Let's just, yeah.
I'll use basketball. What is the right now in professional basketball?
It's all about me.
Right. So what's happening more high school than anything?
Same thing.
Well, let's get back to the actual fundamentals of gameplay. What's it like in high school or college right now? And everything. And
It's a big out past the line, 3-point shoot.
everywhere. Everywhere. But these kids in college and these kids, I say kids, some of them are a lot younger than I am, in professional basketball, they can do that.
Yep.
Because
They've
they've
earned
been
it.
taught and earned the fundamental right to do that. Now we're seeing it in high school. That's the right now. You know as well as anybody, the gameplay will change in a few years.
Yeah, it will.
But the problem is if we don't, again, it goes back to being a good coach and teaching and sticking to fundamentals. If we get into the right now, what right now is shoot 3-point.
Yep.
And we forget about, nobody knows how to play the post. Nobody knows how to cut the inside. Nobody, if we don't teach these kids in basketball to do that, they won't make it at the college level.
No.
Because what I see a lot, and I saw it the other night a lot, is the right now is run, gun, and shoot, run, gun, and shoot, run, gun, and shoot.
Yep.
Kick in one time, kick out, shoot. Four players on the perimeter. That is the right now to me in basketball with professional and college. Not youth. Don't get caught up in the right now as a youth coach. As a youth coach, you still have to teach the fundamentals, so forget about the right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's easy, if that makes any sense. The other, I'll give you another, and I'm not familiar with football, so. But in baseball, what's the big right now? What's the big right now in baseball?
Hitting home runs. Everybody wants to
Hit a home run.
Everybody wants
So
to
what do? We drop our shoulders, we swing up, we change our trajectory, and 95 of these kids now do what?
pop it up.
Or strike out.
Out.
The right now, because that is what's being looked at and talked about and done in the, again, professional level,
Mhm.
the right now is loft, lift, and out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our kids want to emulate that, and all of our coaches think, well, that's what the professionals do. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
I disagree. I completely disagree. And that's my opinion. That is completely wrong. As a youth coach, you should be not even giving a shit about what's out there right now. Your role is to set these kids up for success.
Yeah.
That is a failure success. We've even seen it at high school. They're trying to change kids' swings. I've seen them try to change kids' pitching momentum, or pitching form, because of the way that they're teaching some of the pitching. Pitching is usually consistent. You ain't going to change a pitcher's stance. You ain't going to change a pitcher's relief or release or delivery. You're not going to do a whole lot with that. You may teach him some things to get higher velocity.
Yeah.
But every coach out there that I see wants to adjust a kid's swing.
Mm-hmm.
Let it live in the professionals. If you want to teach a swing, go find you a good teacher or instructor that has been successful, has success, and let them teach.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we're hung up in the right now. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does that make more sense?
That
what
makes
I was,
more sense.
what we had?
For that.
I mean, what do you think about that?
Based on what you're saying, I think you're right. I mean, everybody's focused on what's big, and it's not focusing on the smaller things. Which, like I said, I agree with you on that. But
Yeah, I mean, I think is one of the things that the coaches are doing wrong right now is, we're looking at long ways down the road that we want to make sure that when we hand these kids off in transition from, I've got them as a youth coach when they go to middle school, because now they do middle school sports a little more in depth than they used to. When I hand them off to the middle school coach, the goal as a good coach, in my opinion, would be that they don't have to fool with a kid on a basketball court. If he's a forward, he knows his zones, he knows his areas, he knows where he's supposed to play. But hey, we're going to play in-out defense.
Yeah.
Okay, or in-out offense. Okay, well, you have to show me some of that. I know as a forward, I'm in the middle of the paint, right? I'm in the middle zone. Guards stay up top, forwards, centers down in the pocket, in a hole. So, I mean, if they understand that, then it's easier for a middle school and a high school coach to work from there to adjust their defense. I still think at the high school level, you should be working on nothing but sticking to those three defenses.
Yep.
I mean, we're watching this game now, and it's all, look, there's one kid within the paint, and the rest of them are on the outside.
Yeah.
So you see that again, even in high school. We watched the other night, what was it, Greenwood and South Warren, and I think that we done the same thing. There was 4 kids on the out, one in the middle trying to rebound. Everybody's moving the outside. More bodies inside, more in out.
Yep.
That's fundamental of basketball.
Yep.
And as a coach, that's what we should be focusing on, is not the right now. That right now, to me, is what's popular within sports, what type of defense, offense, swings, shots. I mean, other sports is not as prevalent. You don't see I don't even know. It could be soccer right now. What's the right now in soccer? I don't know the sport.
Yeah, I don't.
But I'm sure it could be the same way. So I think as a youth coach, don't focus on the right now. Focus on fundamentals. Focus on getting them successfully to the next level.
Yeah.
Not what makes your team win all the time. Any more discussion on that?
No, I think that one.
All right, last one for today. This one's a different. I wonder how much you see that. Don't let parents dictate your decisions.
Let parents dictate your decisions. You think most of these parents try to instill fear in some of these coaches? Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean by that?
Well, you can think that way. That's what I mean. This is a discussion.
That's
mean,
the way I perceive it. Is
That's what do you think? We're not about what you're. I mean, how do you think that comes across to you when you hear that? Don't let parents dictate your decision. I can give an example right now, and I won't use names and I won't whatever. But I had you know as well as I do, we had a parent threaten to pull their kids off a baseball field because they weren't getting to do what they wanted.
Yeah.
They did not get to do what their kid wanted. That they wanted their child to do.
Yep. Yeah.
What did I say?
Okay.
Go. I don't need you if that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can sit and watch certain things happen, certain ways that teams play, and you see that they go a couple of games and certain kids may not be on the court or on the field or wherever.
Yeah.
And you see that, man, they played really well. They gelled. They hit a good game plan. And it goes on for a couple different games. And then all of a sudden, we randomly have these kids that haven't been in that thing playing full time. What do you think happens in those situations?
I'd say like we have happened with us. These parents are like, hey, if my kid don't play as much, we're gonna go somewhere else.
Correct. Now, let's back up on that one too. A lot of youth sports, there are situations where you don't have a choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Youth rec basketball, youth rec baseball, youth rec football. It's all dictated by playing time and amount.
Yeah.
So that's dictated. Now, if you decide you're going to cross the red line in the sand and you're going to play travel or you're going to play AAU or you're going to play whatever they call it in whatever sport you're in, if you cross that line and you're good enough to make that program or that team, but there's a kid that's a little bit better than you, you might have to suck it up and learn to be a second string.
Yep.
And that should make you better.
Yep. Absolutely.
But sometimes I think parents don't see it that way, and they say, "Well, I paid so much money too. You knew the thing when you started."
Yep.
Unless you're playing daddy ball, which is another whole discussion, then these parents shouldn't dictate your decision. I did everything I could in the youth to make sure that every kid was treated fair.
Yeah. Absolutely.
When we started our travel program, I still did that, and I think that was one of my faults. I think one of the things that I did do is still try to carry the rec ball mentality into travel and instead of being, you're not cutting it, work harder, and we'll get more playing time. So-and-so's doing better, they're going to play.
Yeah.
I think I failed at that, personally.
Yeah.
I do. Because I think we could have, I know there was times like, we probably need to do this, and we probably need to do that. And our decisions were based on what?
Winning or losing.
Sometimes.
So I think that was that's where we struggled a little bit too. Is of course we were like you said earlier, we didn't win a whole lot, but we won. We were focusing on the wins that sometimes.
Yeah. But again, you should be when you're at that level.
Yeah, you should.
I think that's where you're still I think we're still hung on that, is that's where when we try to develop a program that would help a lot of kids try to be successful that wanted to play, that weren't probably necessarily at that level. We did end up having some kids that were definitely at that level that could play what I would call truly competitive ball.
Yeah.
At the end of the swing and the end of the program. And they probably still could, but I'm sure most of them have moved on and doing other things.
Yeah.
But the teams that we went and played, you didn't see them have. They weren't battling to go, who we got to pitch today.
They knew from the get go.
Yeah, we struggled with that because we didn't have enough arms, we didn't have enough things, and a lot of it was, we didn't get the notoriety obviously to get the good players, but obviously the other thing was kids want to be seen. Kids want to be, and parents want to go. If I'm paying this money, I want to win.
Yeah.
We've transitioned to a couple different teams, and since we've closed the program down, and I ain't gonna lie, the previous program was, I didn't feel the team that we were on was focused on what was best for the program or the team. It was what's best for my buddy or the coach's favorite dads or mom. That's how it was perceived.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause there was decisions that were made. Was like, that kid's made 3 errors this game. Why is he still out there?
Yeah.
So, as a coach, that right there kind of doesn't work well with me.
Yeah.
But sometimes that makes you feel like it's dictated by what the parents are saying, doing, or acting, or how they're coming across. And you don't ever want to say, well, so and so's out buying all the coaches' dinner and all their beer at the game after the games at night. That influences coaching.
It does.
It does. It influences in not a good way. You're not that way. It becomes about, I don't know. I feel like you're buying your playing time.
Yeah.
So that's another point. When I talk about don't let parents dictate your decision.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares if little Johnny's dad gets mad because he didn't get to play but very little on a travel program?
Yeah.
Now, don't let parents dictate your decisions in rec league because you have a rule set you have to do.
Yeah.
Every kid should play. Every kid should be given the option to learn fundamentals and do that. So don't let a parent that's helping you in the dugout. We usually have 10 or 12 kids on a baseball team. Let's say
we'll say 12.
12 kids on a baseball team in rec league, and you got 11 parents in the dugout.
Yeah.
Well, that to me is dictating your decisions as the head coach, and I feel sorry for the head coaches sometimes. You got 10 other years, but I'm exaggerating. But there's 4 to 5 coaches on the field sometimes in Little League baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That's too many.
It's way too many. All you need is 3.
Yes, that's it. In Little League sports, you need 3 coaches.
1 on first, 1 on third, 1 in the dugout.
That's
all
it.
you need.
You don't need anything else. So, I think as a good coach, you don't let these parents dictate what you do. You might listen to feedback.
Yeah.
If it's consistent, like we used to do that as a coach, I would send out end of the year surveys, and we would take it and we'd be like, "Wow, okay, everybody feels the same way about X."
Yeah.
Well, if you have 24 parents, let's say, out of 12 kids, and you have 24 parents that say that this is wrong, then you might want to let the information dictate the decision. But if you have one parent that's constantly complaining about this and nobody else does it, don't let them dictate that.
No.
If they're not happy, they can dictate leaving.
Yeah.
You don't want to inform or mold your mentality or what you're trying to accomplish as a coach based on what somebody else thinks. If you don't like it at the travel level, leave.
Yeah.
Rec level, they don't have a choice.
No.
But you also, as a coach, don't have an option.
Correct.
You don't get to make those decisions. You don't get to do that. You have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
Every kid plays a quarter or plays an inning in baseball and bats twice or something.
Something.
Yeah. So put your effort into the kids that are not doing as well.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that's not on here, but that's probably into the next subject. But we talked 3 things we talked about that they shouldn't do was don't allow disrespect. It's a big one for me. Don't give into the right now, which you kind of figured out what that means now.
Yep.
And then don't let your parents dictate what you're going to do.
Well, I guess since we talked about do's and don'ts, coaching, what do you think is the biggest problem with coaches today?
Well, we've got 3 that we'll discuss real quick. We're getting down to some time here issues. We don't want to keep everybody too long. We want to stay within an hour. So let's see. My personal thing,
Okay.
I'm going to say the win-win mentality. is in youth sports. Again, we're
Yeah.
talking about youth,
Yep.
rec sports. We're going to even dabble into the daddy ball.
Okay.
And then false misconceptions. And a lot of that deals around with daddy ball, but we can just wrap it into one.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel about what's wrong with coaching today is with the win-win mentality?
Like we discussed, youth is development. That's what it is. I mean, everybody wants to win, of course, but I think these coaches are more focused on winning at that age than they are developing these kids for the next level.
Correct.
That's how I feel.
That's what I see. I mean, if you're going out and the whole sometimes the whole system kind of dictates that. You know, drafts. We do drafts. We don't. We do sports here in Warren County. There's a draft league. There's draft things that go on. We pick kids, move kids to different teams, all that kind of stuff. And it does. It's supposed to be fair.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get into a situation where some of these teams are just not equally talented, and it's supposed to be rec. So, and then if you see a coach and if you see coaches that are winning in, let's say, 9 or 10 year basketball or whatever, and they're winning by 20 points or whatever, they're truly focused on win-win mentality.
Yeah.
So what you should do is maybe if you're up by 15 points and this team's really struggling, not pull back on them.
No.
But if you got a kid that, man, I tell you what, if this kid grows, he could be a power forward.
Yeah.
Take him off the point guard position because he's a good ball handler. Let somebody else work on a point guard. Be either fail or succeed all the way through that, and let the other kid learn to play the forward position.
Yeah.
You don't want to pigeonhole these. We've talked about that. We don't want to pigeonhole these kids to win. And I think a lot of these youth kids are being done that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think they're being pigeonholed to think that, well, you're nothing but a catcher. You're never going to do nothing but catch because that helps us win.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
This kid may get to the point where he's like, well, I didn't want to catch all my youth days, but that's what my daddy made me do.
Yeah.
And so now I'm stuck catching. And catchers are hard to find.
They are.
You know, and I tell this to Owen too. Catchers are hard to find. Pitchers, control pitchers, are hard to find.
Like we discussed, there's pitchers and throwers.
There's
but
pitchers and
that's
throwers.
a different discussion.
Yeah. But middle infielders, outfielders, they're dime a dozen.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll tell you at the college recruiting thing, yeah, we can get you a second baseman tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we can't get a kid that can throw. Every kid that throws differently, but has control, is a potential threat.
Yeah.
For a team to have. So, you know, so the win-win mentality to me is big. We're too focused on winning at a younger age again, and if you're winning, that's fine. I have no problem with winning. My problem is when we go to the point where we're winning by 20 runs or 10 bucket or 10 points, whatever it is, and we don't do something to develop the kids in different roles.
Yeah. Or the kids that need to be developed.
That is the other one. We get so worried about win-win that we've got 3 kids on the bench over here, let's say, or on the dugout, that need playing time.
Mm-hmm.
You're up.
You're up whatever.
You're up.
You're up a lot.
Put them in.
Yeah.
Well, we might lose. Okay, if you get to the where you're nervous,
Slide back.
Slide back. It's not like they're going to do anything. It's not like the losing team's going to do anything. If you train players that they're going to do anything any different, except for they make adjustments, but you've already figured out how to beat them. So if they get within I'm nervous, put it back, and then you'll be right back where you were. They're not. If you're outpowering a team at that point, no matter what level of ball or what level or sport it is, to me, you can turn around and outpower them at any point.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So the win-win is part of the problem with coaches. They're all about winning. They focus on winning. They want to talk about their record. They want to talk about their trophies on their wall. Yes, I have trophies on my cabinet upstairs in my office. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
We have trophies. We have plaques from what we did with the Storm. We have all those things. But I don't talk about them.
No.
I don't go in there and say, oh, well, we won this tournament or we got runner-up in this tournament, yada, yada, yada. I don't do that. And when you do that, you're worried about your record and not the improvement of the kids.
Right.
It's a close game. They're only up by 9.
Yeah.
So that's my problem with coaches today is win-win mentality. The other one I see in the youth sports is huge is daddy baseball or daddy ball period.
Taking favorites.
Picking
Taking
favorites.
favorites.
And that's where you get into the whole
I guess that would be part of the other topic. We can combine those two.
false misconceptions.
Yeah. I guess we can combine those
We can
two.
combine them both. So what do you think about how that's combined?
Well, of course, youth sports, we'll say all sports, there's going to be these coaches that have their favorites, whether they need to be starting or not. That's where I see the false misconceptions of daddy ball is they play the favorites even if they don't need to be starting. That's the way I feel, or I think we can combine these two topics.
So yes, you're absolutely correct. But the one thing that's going to never change is in youth sports, you always have to have dads or moms. We'll say,
Yeah,
we're using the loosely mommy ball. But you may have the same thing where moms are coaching. Moms are still coaches as well. But you'll always have a volunteer that has a kid on the team. All your volunteer coaches are usually going to be moms or dads, and they have a kid on the team. We did it. I did it. So, but when you have 4 dads are on the team coaching and they put all their time and effort into those 4 kids, that's what they should do outside of rec practice or youth practice or whatever. They should do that out away from that. Again, you've heard me say this over and over and over, and I'll say it to the day I die. You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yep, absolutely.
So you can have those 4 kids, and these dads can focus on these 4 kids and put all this effort and put them on the field, and they're the superstars, and you win every game. But there's going to be one point where you've not done anything with these other kids,
And you're
and you're going to have to have
You're
them,
gonna have to have them.
and you've not put the time and effort in, and then guess what? Then you're going to be mad at them,
At them, yep.
and it's not their fault.
No, it's not.
You decided to play daddy ball where you wanted all y'all's boys and all y'all's kids to be on the field or the court or whatever, and you didn't think about
What if?
what if.
The what ifs.
There's always that what if.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because as you go through the whole thing, you see, and you've heard it over and over, oh, they're only playing that kid on that position because that's daddy's kid. He wants him to be a shortstop. All that stuff.
I've thought it. I'll be honest. I've thought it.
Yeah.
I think we all have.
We've all seen it. We've all looked at it and go, why the hell is that kid on second base?
Oh wait, that's
There you go.
Yeah.
You look around, you see it, and then you go, well, hell, that kid that was over in left field, shit, he got an arm on it. He can play third base.
yeah.
Kid at third can't stop the ball. Well, there, never mind.
There you
There,
go,
match.
yeah.
I mean, you can just look at it, and you see it, and there is nothing wrong. And the one thing that it is, and the unfortunate part is, youth sports. When you start at a certain age, we'll take baseball for example. It's probably the most prevalent with it. If you don't play the infield, you're not getting any action.
Not you.
Well, I'm talking like Little League.
Okay, yeah, but say once you get a little older, it changes.
Right. But so we teach these kids as coaches that you got to be good infielders and outfield or the crappy kids.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen that in 2 or 3 years? Oh shit.
These kids are getting bigger.
Yeah, we should have had the crappy kids working out in the outfield and really moving them. We should have had them on the infield a little bit, learn how to do pop flies.
Yep.
Learn how to do. I mean, you've got to do that. You got to take your outfielders in let's say minor league baseball for Little League and bring them to the infield and swap.
Yep.
Not swap your outfield with other outfielders because well, little Johnny can't catch. I can't help it. He's never going to catch out there.
Yep.
He's never going to learn how to play a pop up. He's never going to fly a ball because we're not going to get him out there.
But again, that falls back to what we talked about earlier: fundamentals.
Fundamentals.
Pop fly is a fundamental.
That is a fundamental. But if you don't get the opportunity to hit it besides off a bat, and most kids that are playing outfield in certain age groups are not going to ever see one hit that far.
No.
So then we get mad because we're setting up a pitching machine and we're shelling them out to the outfield. And little Johnny, he can't read the ball.
It's
Dude,
different.
It's different. You got to have a true understanding of the game.
Yep.
So the daddy ball. That's where some of that comes into, and then you have. We'll discuss that the whole daddy ball thing in a whole different.
Yeah, but that'll probably be brought up a lot.
A lot more. But the what we saw here is false misconceptions. Is sometimes your kid's not as good as you think you are.
Nope.
And I've heard my players. I tell my players all the time, if you would play as hard as you can play to your level, and quit thinking you're better than you actually are, you will be more successful.
Absolutely.
But that is a big misconception with some of these kids nowadays. Well, we put so and so at second. He missed the ground ball. Move him around.
Yep.
Put my boy out there. He can do it. That's what these coaches think. They put him out there.
Even worse.
He makes 3, and he's still out there.
Yep.
Little Johnny just made 1, but then after that he made 2 good plays.
Yep.
But you said him because he made 1, or he made 2 good plays previous, and he made that 1 that cost you a run. Well, we got to move him back out. Put Timmy out there. That's my boy, and I know he can do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I wasn't guilty of that occasionally. You get that way, but that's why you have to have assistant coaches that are go, hey, maybe that's not the best choice.
Yeah.
And then as it gets older, the bigger misconception is thinking that, looking around and going, well, my kid's a better point guard than that kid. Why is my kid not playing point guard? He actually is better than that kid.
Yeah.
But again, we're letting these parents dictate our decision.
Yep.
So that the big misconception is my kid might not be as good in certain spots as your kid. And you have to realize, like I knew with Owen, he was not going to play first base. He was horrible at it. He was not going to play catcher because at certain levels he couldn't command the game behind the plate. And when we get into baseball season, we'll talk a lot about my feelings about pitchers and catchers. We don't. We're forgetting the whole mentality of what we should be teaching there, but that's a whole different thing.
Yep.
So, be real with your kid. Be real with where their skill sets are at. If you've got a hell of an outfielder or a center fielder, we got to have them.
Yeah.
If you've got a hell of a center that's not 5'6", we got to have them.
Yep.
Teach them. You can't have a 6'2" point guard. In
Center.
You got to have a 6'7", 6'6" center.
Yeah.
Don't try to make your kid something they're not. Don't make a kid 6'8", 6'9", try to be a point guard.
It's gonna be. You can find a couple, but it's not gonna
just because you have this misconception as a coach in daddy ball that's where I want my kid to play.
Yeah.
Every parent wants their kid to be the star of the show, the point guard. I guess in baseball it's the pitcher,
shortstop thing.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. It's not. Yeah, nobody wants to pitch. They want to play middle infield. That's where the action's at. Everybody wants that misconception. Football is what? Quarterback, everybody. Quarterback, running back. So, those are the misconceptions. Is you don't see it very often, but I can promise you we've seen it with one of our side of the family members. They're good at football. We got a cousin now, or you got a cousin now that's playing college football, but his parents did that. They knew that he was going to be an offensive lineman. They knew it. He is right. What is he? Right guard?
I can't remember. Is he offensive lineman or defensive lineman?
I think he's offensive.
But he's a lineman.
Yeah. And
anyway, but
we have a doggies barking, so bear with us for a minute.
Yeah.
Somebody's here. I'm looking to see.
But yeah,
I think Owen's home.
Some of the misconceptions, like you talked about, is these parents, coaches. I'd even count some of these players too.
Yes, I think there's a misconception with your players where you need to be. Oh, I'm going to be a third baseman. Well, you don't have hands for it. You don't have the feet for it. And then you need to develop that and see that younger. That way, when you get older, you can really start to not be behind.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of what I feel is part of some of the coaches today. So, recap. Any reflection on today's episode? Pretty good. More structure today.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot more structure.
I learned what don't giving it right now is. So I guess that's kind of something I've learned. I learned doing this podcast myself. How about that?
All right, there you go. I mean, some of the things today on, talk about some reflection today is, again, coaches, they play a vital role.
Yeah.
And they have, and to me, if they can examine themselves and look at certain things in their coaching techniques and at whatever level they're at, focus on that. What level you're coaching, focus on that.
Yeah.
Don't try to coach toward something else. You're a youth coach in Little League, focus on youth coach techniques and fundamentals.
Yep.
If you're high school, focus on high school level techniques in basketball, learning the parts of the game. The coaches in college and professionals stick to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a reflection up to me is that, just kind of stick with where you're at. Develop with where you're at, because you're vital. More than you think, you're vital into fix it, getting into that. You're super vital into that, and you got to stay into that.
Yeah.
So,
well, us at Soki Sports Talk would like to thank you guys for listening. I guess I've chose topic for next week, and we're going to discuss burnout on some of these kids.
burnout, that ought to be a good topic. So closing this thing out today, check us out on Soki Sports Talk on Facebook, Spotify, YouTube. Reach out to us on Soki Sports Talk at gmail.com.
Yep.
Send us your input. We're trying to get a little more organized. We're trying to have a little bit more structure, a little more difference in our show.
Yep.
Trying to get a little bit more out there. Please reach out and let us know if anything or items you'd like for us to discuss or hear about our opinions on. Again, it's our opinions.
Yep.
And then check out on Sporting Times. Watch our local kids. There was a BG Preps or something I saw popped up the other day on Facebook. They were showing some of the, or not BG, so I don't know what. They were showing some like Barron County, Allen County games.
Okay.
They didn't have commentary stuff, but check those guys out. Remember, those guys are out there to help watch youth sports and promote it. So check them out. And then, as we close for today, just remember that in life that there are times and things that are hard and things that are tough. But as a coach, as a youth influencer, as a player, we are responsible for, and I don't want to say destined, but we are tasked with teaching kids how to handle these tough situations through sports.
Yep.
So be a positive light through negative situations with these kids. If they're, if they come to you, a lot of these kids have home issues, outside issues. Not only are you a coach, but you are kind of a therapist. And we as coaches need to take that other part of our responsibility on and try to help these kids be better humans, be better adults, and be better young men and women. So at the end of the day, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So I know we've talked a lot of different topics on here about this, but at the end of the day, we as coaches are tasked with building better humans and better kids. Just remember that, guys out there, guys and girls that are coaches. That's my closing comment is we are tasked to help make better individuals for this earth and for this area. So, and don't just coach, teach about life. So, anything else, Drake?
I think you said it all.
All right. Well, have a good evening and
Catch you on the next one.
see you.